So now we're in part 2 of the week 1 videos with the questions. Now from Mrs. Young's class in Ontario, what kind of dog do you have from Carter? Well, little Petunia, who's really tuckered out, is a Boston Terrier Chihuahua mix, and she's a rescue. This is from Rin in Miss Jackie's class in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Why did you decide to have Jenny and Stella be in different classes? It's a really good question. Whenever you have a story, you always want to present a problem that the character needs to overcome. And I figured everything's kind of going smooth for Stella until we find out her classmate or her friend is in a different class. And now it's like she wants to find a new friend because she wants to have a friend in her class. So that was kind of trying to start the whole story right there with a problem and then figuring out a solution. From Miss Kitson's class in Morris Plains, New Jersey, why did you make Stella such a fast runner? When I was in elementary school, running was my favorite thing to do in gym class, and I placed, I think, 4th place in the school for female runners for running the mile, so I just thought maybe Stella would enjoy running too. Let's see. From Mrs. Murphy's 3rd grade class in Illinois, Luke is wondering why I put some Spanish words in the text. Well, because I'm from Mexico, I grew up listening and speaking some Spanish, and since Stella is also from Mexico, I thought she would have a similar situation to me where she would use a little bit of Spanish, or her mom would speak to her both in English and in Spanish. From Mrs. Hollander's class in Austin, Texas, why did you have Stella's class have assigned seating at school? I remember having assigned seating in class, and my boyfriend is a high school teacher, and he talks about the class seating chart, and I thought, it's something that I think a lot of kids could relate to. From Mrs. Gould's class in College Place Elementary in Washington, are you like Stella Diaz? I'm very much like Stella Diaz. If you read the author's note, I put that I'm like 82% like Stella, so there's a lot of overlap. From the Cool Cobras in Chicago, do you have kids? I do not have kids. From Mrs. Reeves' class, what is Stella's middle name? And I heard this from a couple of kids, and I thought that was such a cool question. I've never thought of a middle name for Stella, but maybe I'll include that in another story. Let's see. All the way from Vietnam in Mrs. Murray's class. This is a similar question. Is the character Stella based on a real person? So a lot of it is based off of myself. But I took other experiences of going to schools and seeing kids, and I also thought about my niece a little bit for the character. From Miss Singer's class, what is your favorite book that you've written? Stella Diaz Has Something to Say is up there. I would say it's probably one of my top favorite books that I've written, just because it was so personal, and I love middle grade books, and I was always hoping that one day I would write one. My other favorite is Let's Go Hugo, because that is the first picture book I ever wrote, and I loved drawing that little bird too. In Alberta, in Miss Jody's class, why did Jenny and Anna have the same cat backpack? Well, my niece loves cats, and so I think she has a cat backpack. At least I know she has cats on a lot of the things that she owns. But I also thought, Stella's a little jealous that Jenny has made this new friend, and it would make her even more jealous if they're wearing the same backpack. Then from Mrs. McDaniel's class in New York. Why did you make the new student a boy? I think because Stella was expecting a girl to come into her class, the new girl. It turns out to be a boy, and I wanted to play with what we expect to happen and what really happens. And I also would make it a little bit more challenging because maybe Stella would have an easier time making friends with a new girl versus a new boy in class. From Mrs. Fox's class in Columbia, Missouri. When did you start writing? So I loved writing my entire life. I became an author in my late 20s, but I was always making my own sort of books from a very young age. From the Wildwood School, did you enjoy writing this book? I loved writing it, and I had such a fun time writing the second one. It's probably one of the funnest projects I've ever worked on. From Miss Weaver's class in the Spaghetti Spikes, what is your favorite thing to do with your dog? Well, I love cuddling with my dog. I also love playing with her. She's so funny when she's running around chasing her toy. And then from Mrs. Graffalo's third grade class, why did you create a character who feels nervous a lot? Because truthfully, I feel nervous quite a bit, and I felt really nervous when I was a kid, and I think a lot of people can relate to that emotion, and I thought, I haven't seen too many characters that kind of feel that way, and you know, those kind of people or that kind of feeling needs to be seen in a book too. From Mrs. Bianco's third grade class in St. Rita, Ohio. Where did you get the ideas for the names of your characters? So some of them are funny because they're real people. Like I put Chris Pollard in the book, and he's one of my closest friends. Even to this day, I've known him since first grade. I have a friend named Anna, I have a friend named Isabel. With Jenny, growing up, my best friend Mimi hated her name and she always wanted to be called something else, and it was Jenny. And I thought, you know, in a way, I'm finally giving Mimi what she always wanted. Then from Ms. Meyer's class, did I have any other pets when I was a kid, or what did I like to do? I had a little Chihuahua named Benny, a very sweet dog, made me love dogs. And then I also loved drawing and writing. It's pretty much the same things that I love to do now. From Miss Pennington's class, they are wondering if Stella and Anna and Jenny and Stanley will eventually become friends. Well, you'll have to continue reading, but I think it's gonna be pretty likely that they will. From Miss Rachel's second grade class in Monmouth Junction, New Jersey, Kingston wanted to know, did you have a mean brother just like Stella? So I don't really think that Nick is too mean. I think he's just kind of like a natural, like the typical older brother who picks on his younger sibling just a little bit. But I think he's extremely supportive, just like my brother. And I wouldn't say my brother is mean. From Miss Flower's second grade class, Holly wants to know why you decided that Stella would be from Mexico. Oh, a lot of it because it's based off of my own life, and so I was born in Mexico, and I thought, well, Stella would be born from Mexico. From Mrs. Bridgman's class, do you visit Mexico a lot? Not as much as I would like. I do go back every few years. I've also been very lucky that my family comes and visits us too. So we usually would spend Thanksgiving with them when I was growing up. From Mrs. Kuhlman's class at Winston Churchill Public School in Ontario. How did I come up with the name Poncho for Stella's betta fish? So my mom had a fish named Poncho, and I always loved the name of that fish, and it was a betta fish too, and I thought I'd include him in the story. And then finally, we have from Gray Woods Elementary School in Pennsylvania. How many languages is the book published in? So it's been published in two, in the English one, and then there's a Spanish version in the Scholastic Book Club. So those are all the questions. I look forward to answering even more next week. But for now, I chose a random number generator. And out of those 48 questions I got from school number 28, let's see who it is. Get there. From Miss Murphy's class, 3rd grade class in LaGrange Park, Illinois. You're going to receive a copy of Stella Diaz Has Something to Say signed, and also an advanced reader for my second book, Stella Diaz Never Gives Up. And so I'll be emailing you about that. But again, thank you so much for all the questions, and I look forward to seeing what else you guys ask. Bye!